boy to him, and when the spirit saw him, immediately it convulsed the boy, and he fell on the ground and rolled about, foaming at the mouth. And Jesus asked his father, "How long has this been happening to him?" And he said, "From childhood. And it has often cast him into fire and into water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And in verse 23, Jesus said to him, "If you can, all things are possible for the one who believes." And immediately the father of the child cried out and said, these are some of the most profound words in the Gospels, "I believe, help my unbelief." I mean, I believe, but I don't believe. Please help me where I don't believe. Verse 25, when Jesus saw that a crowd came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit, saying to it, "You mute and deaf spirit, I command you, come out of him and never enter him again." Those are going to be important words to us. Never enter him again. And after crying out and convulsing him terribly, it came out, and the boy was like a corpse, so that most of them said, "He is dead." But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up. Took him by the hand, lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had entered the house, his disciples asked him privately, "Why could we not cast it out?" And he said to them, "This kind cannot be driven out by anything but prayer, believing prayer." Why? Why, you faithful generation, did you not do what I had called you to do? Now, I want you to see something, because this is so important. God spoke a word to me as many as 10 years ago when I was working on a series called Believing God that completely changed my life and changed my perspective. Because I began to look here at these passages, how these people who had been anointed, God chosen by Jesus to do exactly that, could not do what they had been empowered by Jesus and commissioned by Jesus to do. Why? Why? I believe it was because they were arguing with the Pharisees and the scribes. I think they got in a big argument there, and the more they argued, the less faith they had. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And what God told me, and I've thought about this over and over again, never argue with the Pharisee. Never argue with the Pharisee. Go to church with them, love them, serve with them. Do all manner of living with them. But when you get in an argument with a Pharisee about what Jesus is capable of doing, what will happen is they'll talk you right out of your faith. That which you have been commissioned and anointed to do, you suddenly will not be able to do. Why? Because a Pharisee has talked you out of it. You had faith going into it, but now you've had somebody say, "Well, I don't even really believe God does that anymore." Well, really? He's been doing it through me. But all of a sudden, now I can't do it because you have suggested to me that it's not anything God is doing anymore. Is anybody getting in this with me? Because this is so dangerous. This is so dangerous. Listen, the more we argue, when we get into a big debate, let's have good conversations. Let's have good dialogue. But don't argue with them. Because it may be that you walk away from them with the same amount of faith they have in what Jesus is capable of doing. This is scary. This is scary. Do not, look at your neighbor and say, "Do not argue with a Pharisee." Do not argue with a Pharisee. Listen, you and I are going to have to figure out how we're going to do this thing. Whether we are going to believe Jesus or whether we're going to believe the Pharisees around us. Everybody with religious spirits around us. What are we going to do with it? Because we could choose sophistication over a demonstration. We could choose dignity over epiphany. Yes, we could. We could choose proper religious moderation over the miraculous. Anybody? Anybody? We could be so terrified of someone thinking we're a Fruit Loop that we bear no fruit. Anybody? God's been talking to me about this. God's been talking to me about this because, we're so afraid that I'm so aware that people think I'm a Fruit Loop. Well, as long as there is some fruit in my loop, so be it. I don't know what to say. I don't mind being a loop if there's some fruit in it. I'm not going to be just riddled with fear because Pharisees are telling me, "You can't do that. You can't do that. No, you cannot do that. No, well, wait. Because Jesus said He called me to do this. Jesus said He called me to do this. Jesus said He called me.